Hello everyone watching at home, this is Sav McClinton from Adelaide Eternal bringing you another 7-minute 7-point series deck tech. I'm bringing you Red-White Combo. This deck I call Sneaky-Jiki. It is named after Sneak Attack and Kiki-Jiki, of course. The deck is actually a budget deck, or very, very close to a budget deck. There's no 3 to 7 dual lands here, there's no blue here, there's none of those pricey cards. What we do have in the mana base, however, are Sacred... Plateau, yep, that's all right, and City of Traders and Mox Diamond. So these are pricey cards in the $80 to just over $100 mark. If you're able to obtain them at some point, you can, fully optimize the deck. However, before that, you can play these with, this can be a basic and you can play with just lands in the place of these, and you'll find that, you're still 95% optimized. The main card in the deck is Imperial Recruiter. It is over $200. So this is the one thing that really keeps this away from being a budget deck. However, if you're able to borrow this card for a non-proxy tournament and then proxy, the other cards during the majority of the year, you'll be able to play this deck on a budget. And the other cards are, about 71 of the cards are very easily obtainable, and they are chump change all the way up to, the kind of $60 or $50 mark. You won't really find much more than the Mana Crypt and the Emrakul there. But the other 70 odd cards are very easy to find. Now, let's look at the deck. So, it is a combo deck, but it also doesn't play blue and it doesn't play black. Because of this, we need to be able to interact with our opponent proactively. So what we do is we use broken mana, of which we have 10 sources, to power out a lock piece on turn 1, or as later than that will be turn 2, but any later and you're going to have problems. So that's why there's enough lock pieces and enough fast mana. So we have the brand new card Blood Sun, and we have Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon, the normal, typical usual suspects that you see. Then we've got the awesome card in the form of Trinisphere. So this locks out most decks and gives you time to do broken stuff, because remember, you're the one with the broken mana. Then we have Gideon of the Trials, which looks strange, but usually you drop him turn 2 and you zero him so that your opponents can't win the game. And a lot of opposing combo decks find this really hard to beat. Then we have Chalice of the Void, which when you name it on 1, it's actually really, really good because you really only have a couple of reactive 1-drops. And the 1-drops that you are generally there used to slow your opponent down, which Chalice does anyway. And these here are used to protect your combo. So what do I mean by combo? Let's look at the key pieces. We have 2 recruiters here, and they are integral to the deck. They fetch the combo pieces, and what you do is... Oh, let's come back to the combo pieces. This is your value pile. So these recruiters find you value, but so does Sun Titan. And as does Crucible of Worlds, also allowing you a Wasteland lock when you need. And then we have the card search options. Sensei's Divining Top digs you accordingly, and Enlightened Tutor finds you key pieces in your sideboard, as do the recruiters. And then we have Chandra, which is just awesome. So, there's no other reason for this being in the deck other than it's just cool. Let's look at the actual cogs of the deck. Recruiter goes into Village Bellringer, and Village Bellringer combos with Splinter Twin, which can be found off Enlightened Tutor. So that's just one example of how you make infinite dudes and kill your opponent. But what you can do is use other variants. So we have Restoration Angel with Kiki-Jiki. Kiki-Jiki can be fetched off both of these recruiters. They make infinite dudes and kill your opponent. Zealous Conscripts makes infinite dudes with Kiki-Jiki. And then you have Kiki-Jiki makes infinite dudes with Village Bellringer. So those are just your infinite dudes options. Then you've got Nahiri, which +2s twice and then finds Emrakul to bash your opponent's face and sack 6 of their permanents. And then you have the other namesake of the deck, which is Sneak Attack. Now, Sneak Attack allows you to push out Emrakul for 1 mana, which is awesome. Also, Sneak Attack can come down off broken mana really, really early in the game, threatening the ability to win the following turn. Now, what I want to do is, aside from... Okay, actually, I'll just tell you about this. Removal and Wall of Omens combos with Resto and Kiki-Jiki, and can be found off these to gum up the board. Then gumming up the board, Pia and Kiran Nalaar do exactly the same thing, fetchable off these. Fiery Confluence and Council's Judgment are just good cards that buy you time against the creature decks. And Ayani Vengeance, he taps down your opponent's basic land so that they can't really get out of the Blood Moon lock. And he also minuses for a Lightning Helix to, again, buy you time. So if you can't go off crazy in the early game, you can buy lots of time against creature decks. And then you've also got the awesome card in the form of Balance, which can buy you time against creatures. But also, when you drop a bunch of these and then do this on turn 1, it's hilarious against control opponents, acting like a Mind Twist. Ballista is also a way to fetch removal off these guys. And let's go back to the fun parts of the deck. If you haven't already thought that you've had enough fun at the moment, I'm going to tell you about 2 awesome ways of winning the game. First of all, you trade with your control opponent. They run down on their resources trying to counter these key combo pieces. And then you slam Sun Titan, return a Recruiter, and then find your Village Bellringer, and then start to combo off. Or Sun Titan finds Imperial Recruiter, which finds Kiki-Jiki, which makes this guy find another copy of this guy to find Village Bellringer, and untaps this, and so on and so forth. But my favorite part of the deck is Sneak Attack. Because what you can do is Sneak Attack all by itself indicates that you have the ability to win the game, not just off Emrakul. You know, people can go, I'll take 15 and sack my 2 permanents I have, then start rebuilding the board. Sneak Attack goes, okay, well, depending on how much red mana I have, I can win. Let's give you an example. Off 1 red mana, I flash in my Imperial Recruiter, which then finds Kiki-Jiki, which then makes an Imperial Recruiter, which then finds me Village Bellringer, which untaps Kiki-Jiki, and then you go to town. So that's just an example of how good Sneak Attack is in powering past control decks. And also, the key to this is the surprise factor. Everyone assumes that they go, I'll survive my 1 hit off Emrakul and rebuild. Sneak Attack says, no, you're just going to lose. So let's have a look at your sideboard. Now, I won't talk too much about this because Kitchen Finks, you find it off your Recruiters, Anger of the Gods. Yeah, this is basically stops your aggro opponents flat in their tracks. These are against your control opponents, and Grand Abolisher can be found off your Recruiters. Defense Grid can be found off Enlightened Tutor. Now let's look at that whole tutor aspect. This is against combo, and you need to have key pieces against combo. So against Reanimator, you can find Containment Priest off Recruiter and Rest in Peace and Relic of Progenitors off Enlightened Tutor. Exactly the same works with Leyline of Sanctity and Aethersworn Canonist, and the same goes for Duragar Hedge Mage against Built from Scrap, and this is obviously your anti-storm pile. So if you like the deck, sleeve it up. There's so many ways to build it. You can do a Painter's Servant Grindstone using Enlightened Tutor and Recruiter, and you can do Control Walkers. You can go Elspeth into Gideon Jura into Sun's Champion. You can fetch for Jaya Ballard against control decks. There's so many options. Sleeve up Sneaky-Jiki, tell me what you think, and most of all, enjoy.